Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Fantastic Friday. It is that day in the week that we thank God. He's blessed us. We're right at the close of the week, and we thank God how He's been good to us. Even in the midst and through it all, God is still faithful. I want to ask that you please look with me out of 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 5. Very powerful text that Paul writes to the church of Corinth. Remember, this was a seaport city. They had seen a little bit of everything and everybody. And now Paul begins to help them as they need to deal with some new matters that they didn't really have clarity on. And he deals with them on the issue that one day all of us will leave this planet that we call Earth. And he begins to answer the questions that they had about what will happen to their bodies, what will happen to their spirits, and when will the two ever be back together again. So he begins to help us to understand in this 5th chapter by using the analogy and the language that our bodies are like a tent. You can remember in the Old Testament, the children of Israel, as they were on their way to the promised land, they dwelled in tents, temporary dwelling places. I can remember when my sons were smaller and when they were part of Cub Scouts, we used to go camping numerous occasions, and we would spend the night in a tent, a temporary dwelling. We were there in the tent because it was only for a short window of time and only for a definite point in time. We were spending the nights out in the woods, but we were covered by a tent. It reminds us the same way that the bodies that we occupy, our spirits, our souls, occupy a body. But this body is our terrestrial body, our body that we use while we're here on earth. Paul helps the church of Corinth to understand that one day all of us are going to be changed. When we leave this planet called Earth, we're going to leave our bodies here because flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. But he tells us that our souls, our spirits, are going to be with God in heaven. He says that our bodies are a tent. It's a temporary dwelling place. And while we're in this temporary dwelling place, use the time that we have to be of the maximum benefit to us. That is, while we're here on earth, and since we know where we're spending eternity, it becomes our opportunity to share the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ with everyone that we meet, that they may come to know him and realize that one day they too can spend their time with God in eternity. He says that we're going to leave these bodies because our bodies grow weary, they grow tired. Just as you and I put mileage on our vehicle, mileage on our tires, they wear out, our bodies are wearing out day by day. But he tells us the inward man, our spiritual being, is renewed day by day. And for that reason, we are not just losing our lives here on earth, but we're gaining life in eternity. He lets us see and helps us to understand that our spiritual man, our spiritual being is renewed day by day. Even though our outward man, our outward tent, it is perishing day by day. So he lets us see the difference in the two. The body that we live in is dying daily. The spirit that we have, it's becoming more and more alive every day because we're becoming more and more into the image where God has called us to be. He lets us see, he helps us to understand that we have to give some attention to this body, but by the same token, we put the greater attention on our spiritual being. And that is that we can be in right relationship with God and lead others to do the same. And he tells us that these earthly bodies, while we're in it, we groan, we moan, we have problems. I don't know about you, but after all the sports that I've played, sometimes I have some groaning, I have some moaning. Knees don't work like they used to. Matter of fact, that's why I have a new knee in my right knee. It's about 12 years old. It's younger than the rest of my body because it's been replaced. But the thing about it is that we must understand our souls can never be replaced. God gives us our souls, and our souls will live forever because we will live one day with God in eternity. So today, let's think about what is more important, our natural bodies or our spiritual being. I hope today that you and I can make the great investment to make sure that we're investing in our spiritual being so that we can be what God has called us to be, do what God has called us to do, and that is to be the people of God and share the good news of God with everybody that we meet, because one day we will all get home to that eternal home in the heaven. I love this song. When I get home, Oh, what a day of rejoicing it will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Until we sing that song, let's sing the other songs here on earth, that how we long to be in God's presence and how we want others to join us there. May God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.